Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mapping Melbourne's opening night. We're so happy to see all of you out there live streaming this watch party. It's been a great kind of lead up to it, kind of getting excited about all the different artists and all the different works that we're going to be showing throughout the festival, and we're very, very happy that you've come here to celebrate with us. I'm Margot. I'll be hosting today. I'm a writer and a performer, and I just love Mapping Melbourne so much. I did a show with them last year, and I'm very, very happy that they've asked me back this year to do hosting and kind of all these other things that I get to do, and I love just talking about art and having this kind of time to talk with other Asian Australian artists. So thank you, Mav, for the opportunity. Now, Mapping Melbourne is in its 8th and final year this year. We have worked with some of the most talented Asian Australian artists in our community in a range of styles, from music to dance to art. And it's honestly a bloody great lineup that we've got this year. And I really hope that you all stick around for the next few weeks and experience that with us. First, I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nations, on whose unceded lands we all write, dream, and create. I extend my deepest respect to all elders, past and present, and elders from surrounding communities who may be here tonight. This has always been and always will be Aboriginal land. Up first, we have Janet Galpin from the Boonwurrung Foundation.
Thank you, Margot, for the introduction. Wominjeka, come with purpose to our and days. My name is Janet Galpin. I'm cousin to Parbanata, Dr. Carolyn Briggs, AM, the elder of the Boonwurrung language group. I'm in St Kilda, Victoria, also meeting on the country of our ancestors, and we pay our respect not just today, but always to all our ancestors, those people who came before us. And to all of you here and Victoria and the Australian this year. All here commitment.
We've just gotten a little... Hello? Am I on screen? We've just got a technical difficulty.
And content 65,000.
It's a little bit glitchy. We might get back to you, Janet, in a second. But hello? Mapping Melbourne, Mapping Melbourne. I don't know if I can hear Janet. Sometimes there's an echo. Is this happening? Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes, no? Sorry, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Okay. We might get back to Janet in a moment. Thank you for sticking with us. Glitch, glitch, glitch. It be like that. Thank you, Mapping Melbourne. Post-pandemic vibes. I will now introduce Dave Wandon from the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung Cultural Heritage Aboriginal Corporation to do our Welcome to Country as well.
What?
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Margot. And I apologise, not that it's my fault, but I also want to pay my respects for Janet for doing the best that she could. And I know that if we were meeting face to face today, there would not be that problem. Unfortunately, today we cannot meet face to face. I am an elder of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung Tribal Land Council, and I can see that Margot still government responsibility for a name. And I'm here to welcome you to country tonight. I pay my respects to my ancestors, both past and present. My elders emerging, because otherwise some of our young people will actually be a little bit surprised when they become elders. I pay my respects to the members of the Kulin Nation, of which myself, the Wurundjeri and Bunurong are part of, for our southern neighbours, the Bunurong, where we do have shared country in the city of Melbourne. I pay my respects to all other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders that may be watching us tonight, to their elders, their ancestors, both past and present, in particular their elders emerging, because I have been meeting them and we have been sharing our knowledge amongst ourselves because we have the opportunity today. When I was asked to do this welcome, and I see multicultural. Now, quite often you hear Aboriginal people talking about us, and we are multi-mob. We all have different ways of doing things, but we all have one common goal, and that is for the preservation of all mobs. And the way we do that is by performing a welcome to country. I unfortunately do not speak much language. My job as an elder is to actually preserve country, because that's where the language is held, and to make sure that it's available, that anybody who wants to come out and walk country with us, the Aboriginal people, and listen to the land, to the water, to the trees, the grasses, the animals, the birds, to stop and reflect and hear the messages that are there. I am fortunate to have ancestors that have passed down the message to me to say, teach other people how to read the country. It's not about how many big buildings we can put up there. It's not about making monuments. It is about making sure that people who walk onto our country understand that there are rules that have been laid down by our creator spirit, Bunjil, the wedge-tailed eagle. He is our father. He gave us first law, L-O-R-E. Many laws come from that, but our first law is we must respect our mother. Not only our physical mother, who raises us, who bears us, and then raises us. And she looks after us when we cry, when we have those small little pains. And as we grow older and we become young children and then teenagers, and eventually we become adults, we all go back to our mother. And she will continue to do that. And as she grows older and we grow older, we return the favour and we look after her. Bunjil's law is, good job, you've looked after your physical mum. But the law remains that we must look after our spiritual mother. And our spiritual mother is the land on which we live, who supported our physical mother, who supports us, who supported our ancestors, and will support generations uncountable into the future, we hope. Until we can understand for Aboriginal people and teach our children the intricacies of what actually makes up the land that we live, work, play on, that we rely on for our food, our medicine, our shelter and our clothing. Until you can understand what is set down in law in time immemorial by Bunjil, you cannot contribute to your community. We cannot be initiated until we have passed the test of understanding the spirit of our mother. When I heard the word multicultural, there was many cultures here in Australia before colonisation, but now there are many, many, many more. Multi is maybe not the right word. In reality, us to welcome people onto country, we must accept that there are people on our unceded lands. But it doesn't mean that we need to be fighting with them. It means that they are here and we need to learn to accept that. And our responsibility under Bunjil's law is that we are here to protect you, to care for you, to provide you the access to the good water, to the good food, to the good shelter, to the good medicines. I want to welcome all of you, no matter where you are from. We pay our respects to all our mobs here in Australia. But I want to welcome you and say I pay my respects to all of you, no matter where you come from, because you are all Indigenous to somewhere. And in your culture, if you search back far enough, you will have the same responsibilities if you are able to be living on your own lands. And unfortunately, in these times, there are many places around the world where you cannot. And you have chosen Australia to be your home. And you bring your culture with you, your art, your food, your religion, whatever it may be. And we need to learn to embrace all that together and understand that we are all different. But I think if you go far enough back in any Indigenous culture, and that includes everybody who is on this panel tonight, on this forum, that we have one common goal, and that is to care for country. And a welcome to country is about laying down the rules of what you should do when you claim a place as your own, to care for it to the best of your ability. We rely heavily on science to tell us what we should and shouldn't do. But in reality, no matter what country you came from or what country you may go to, ask the Indigenous people, then ask the government, then ask the science. Because in reality, from every Indigenous place in the world, the Indigenous people are the first scientists. We can tell you how you can live, thrive and survive in this country. Waminjika, Wurundjeri, Biak, welcome to Wurundjeri country and Bunurong country and the land of the Kulin Nations, which makes up the greater part of Melbourne. I hope you enjoy everything that will be presented, and I'll be hanging around and having a listen. Thank you very much. Waminjika.
Thank you very much, Dave, for your very wise and wonderful words. Are we having Janet back? Okay. Thank you as well, Janet. It's great to have you with us. The numbers are rising. I love it. Keep on commenting. Keep on bringing the vibes, people. Love it. And the show, The Vibes Mapping Melbourne, would not be possible without our presenting partners, the City of Melbourne, Creative Victoria, and the Australia Council for the Arts. Thank you so much for your support. This wouldn't be happening without you. And now I would like to welcome Lord Mayor Sally Capp from the City of Melbourne.
Hello, I'm Sally Capp, Lord Mayor of the City of Melbourne, and welcome to Mapping Melbourne 2020. Mapping Melbourne is a showcase for many things for which Melbourne is renowned. Our enviable cultural diversity, our deep love of the arts, our willingness to push boundaries in how we support artists to explore new themes and forms for cross-cultural relationships, as well as innovative ways to exhibit and perform their work. This year, Mapping Melbourne is going digital, and well done for making this happen in very challenging circumstances. From now until 28 January 2021, Mapping Melbourne will showcase the works of established and emerging Asian creatives living here in Melbourne. For the past 8 years, Mapping Melbourne has delivered one of the most exciting and comprehensive programs of contemporary Asian dance, design, fashion, art, music, and spoken word in this city. Thank you for all of your efforts over that time. We are proud of the prolific Asian influence here in the city of Melbourne. We know that much of what we enjoy today and that we benefit from is the result of the generous contributions of migrants over decades. It's evidenced in our city's fabulous food. It's evidenced in the popularity of precincts such as Chinatown. It's evidenced in participation in our wonderful cultural festivals. And of course, it's evidenced in the commitment and flourishing of our creative arts sector. The City of Melbourne has been a proud supporter of Mapping Melbourne for the past 8 years through our Creative City Multi-Year Grants program. Congratulations to Multicultural Arts Victoria on curating a wonderfully diverse and accessible event to mark the 8th and final year for Mapping Melbourne. To all the artists involved, I wish you the most successful event online. To everybody who's been involved in producing and organising the program for this year, congratulations, a huge effort. To everyone watching, I encourage you to completely immerse yourself in what is a fabulous program. Congratulations to everyone involved in Mapping Melbourne.
Thank you very much for that, Lord Mayor Sally Capp. And now, what we've all been waiting for, I'm going to welcome Joel and Reese, creators of Still the Quivering Air.
Hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah,
I love the
I'm feeling
vibe
good.
you've got going on.
Hey, Reese. How you going?
Hey, man. How are you? How's things?
Things are good. First of all, thanks to Dave and to Janet for a beautiful welcome to country. That meant a lot. Beautiful words.
Absolutely.
And it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks to Mav for having us.
Thank you. All right. Well, first up, I'll have you introduce yourselves. What did you do to birth this incredible project that you've got?
You better start, Joel. You better start.
I'll start. Okay, so the project the roots of the project are from 2017. I took a trip to Malaysia with my mother and my partner. We were going back to KL to see the birthplace of the house where I was born. And my mum took me to one of the back streets in KL and said, that used to be the house that your father and I lived in when you were born, which was, a significant kind of event for me. It was also a really great trip because I did a lot of digging for records, and I found a whole lot of old canto pop and J-pop, like old Asian funk and soul music from the 60s and 70s. And I had a sampler with me at the time, and I started to make these beat sketches using these old samples. Fast forward 3 years or 3.5 years to a global pandemic when I'm kind of locked inside and have lots of time in the studio, and I decided to finish all of these pieces. So I kind of collaborated with a lot of artists previously to the lockdown, but then afterwards with artists like Mindy Meng Wang and Francesca Mountford, Parvin Singh, Thomas Mitchell, Matt Robb, also El Shamada, and this sort of great array of Melbourne artists and musicians, a lot with Asian background, Pan-Asian background. And I finished a lot of this work, and I started to play some of it to Reese, who I'd worked with in the past. and we talked about how to make that into a visual project. And I guess the first touchstone conversation I remember having was like, what kind of vibes are you getting from this, man? And we both kind of went, ghosts and monsters kind of sprung up from the music. So that was really the leaping point for a lot of the discussions we started to have. Handball to you, Reese.
Yeah, well, it was quite bizarre because we started chatting a couple of days after I'd been to see Mindy Meng Wang at a show at the convent. And I was kind of like, just totally immersed, and, it was just this like beautiful transporting experience. And then known for many, many, many years. We've done various projects since, 2005, something like that. Growing to be old men together, but he started, as you mentioned, started playing these pieces to me, and mentioned that he was kind of really getting excited about a lot of the ideas around yokai spirits and ghost stories, and we just started, I guess, getting immersed in the idea of, well, I certainly was thinking a lot about what it means, what kind of ghosts and spirits you drag with you as you move around, as you migrate from place to place, and that idea that with, while it might have been a bit daggy about the idea of thinking of what happens during the pandemic, that everyone kept on like passing around these little cute videos of like, there's fish and ducks and animals and deer appearing in these streets as everyone had retreated to their houses. And I kept thinking about, I think Joel and I were talking about the idea of somehow, as the streets empty, spirits also having a place again. And it's all a blur now as to what came first, but it was, Joel was talking about his collaborators. We were talking about people who inspired us and you would work around town, and then to this like a generation, bringing artists into the conversation, us bouncing back and forth imagery, people like Mags and El Shamada and Yumi Miyamari and Tony Yap, them kind of contributing what their thoughts and ideas were around that. And then, then we blinked and suddenly we were deep in this madness of 3 different film parts, and suddenly it was a longer film, and it was a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Can I just sort of, I guess, like as an intro, a lot of the feeling of the lockdown has made it into this work. I guess the anxiety and the kind of idea of the streets being empty. All of Melbourne seemed to be huddled inside their houses whilst the city was this husk of itself. And I think for me, it was also made more intense because I had my daughter in May between lockdowns, my first child.
Wow.
And there was a degree of anxiety and fear around what kind of world she was coming into. And so for a lot of the music and I guess the tone of the piece was about facing that fear and saying, like, it is worth her coming here. It is worth it. It's going to get better. But right now, I need to personify and visualize those fears, to sort of face them, to conquer them. So I think for me, there was a big part of that yokai spirit, that the ghosts of what could be the idea of the invisible pandemic and this sickness in the air. All of that was kind of filtering into, I guess, the background of thoughts in this work.
Yeah. And I think that definitely comes through. I love horror and I love ghosts. And I was lucky enough to get a peep of your work. And I was just like, oh my God, like, I get it. Like, it's this weird, queasy, sick feeling, but it's also like so trippy, and it's just like straight up cool. Like, yes, this is what it is. Now let's talk Pan-Asian psychedelia.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with the I guess this phrase that you've coined almost. I Googled it. I was like, there's 20 results. Most of them are about you. And I'm just like really excited by the possibilities of the concept of like this aesthetic, the sensibility that you're kind of creating or helping kind of spearhead. So I guess like what is Pan-Asian psychedelia to you?
Well, I mean, I think it's about like an Asian futurism, which I think is also from the perspective of being a third culture kid in Australia. There is a degree of connection that I feel with people of lots of different Asian backgrounds, different shades of Asian. This shared experience of often being lumped together by the kind of greater white mainstream Australian culture, but also the idea that, I guess, like, if you look at the goldfields and the Chinese presence in Australia, it does go back to, the mid 1800s, the Japanese pearl farmers up in Broome. Like, there's this deep connection. Even the Macassans and that trade between Indigenous people up in Darwin, like, there's something about Australia which to me feels more Asian than it does European. It's definitely an Indigenous land, and I'm a guest here, but I also feel there is this cultural connection, and I guess some of the music I wanted to speak to that. And I also just vibe on trippy sounds. So
yeah,
I was trying to find also with those records that I found in Malaysia, like snippets and kind of texture and memory from that era of the 70s and late 60s, and how that's sort of in my DNA as a person. But I guess I wanted it to be, even if subtly, like in the DNA of the music that was made. And look, also with the collaborators that I worked with, like Mindy Meng Wang is, she's a great friend of Mav's, a great friend of mine. We actually play in another group together called Garden Tiger, and she's a master guzheng player, and she brings this traditionalism coupled with this kind of futurism or a futuristic approach to how to look at these scales or these pieces that might be kind of ancient. And the same with Parvin and her connection to Indian scales and a history of music, which is, thousands of years old. I guess, like, I wanted to be able to reference all that tradition and that past and frame it in something that's truly 21st century Melbourne. And I mean Melbourne. Like, I feel like it's the music and the work that we've the film is something that is so Melbourne. Melbourne during lockdown, but also just Melbourne as a personality of a city.
Yeah.
And like the dancers that we're working with are masters of their field. Like Yumi is bow down to Tony. And Tony is like, I'm just in love with his hypnotic and mesmerizing qualities. His form, in a way, like in a sort of loose way, he became, for me, symbolically the guide through the underworld, or through the idea of traveling through fear, and the idea of traveling through this period of time that it was 2020. He sort of physically embodies that for me within the film. So, I don't want to prescript anything for anyone, but that definitely comes from something. Yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Thank you. And Reese, how did you kind of help depict those concepts, that ideas through the screen?
I think it's one of those great projects where, I love kind of quite meaningful collaboration. And this is a while back that, this is a great example of where you can, as a filmmaker, just be kind of a mediator between experiences. And I don't work with dancers, but, I kind of know Joel's sensibility, and kind of have seen and loved work around, different experiences over the many years. And so kind of like you have a sense of what you love about their work. And then I think it was like, well, what can we do to create? What kind of locations can we look for? And we tie together this experience so that each of us can do their own work and find a way to embody this conversation with Joel's music and kind of the spirits and I don't know, like a kind of a monster of these things, without it being prescriptive, without it kind of going, oh, this is what we need. It's like you do your thing, find a space for that to happen, and then we'll find a way to work with the images that we have. And it's really great because I've worked with some old collaborators of mine. Well, obviously with Joel, Alex Cardi, who shot it, who's beautiful cinematographer and does beautiful kind of intimate stuff, bodies and dances, and then Natalie Millisney, who edited it, and we've kind of got a real shorthand way. It's just a really joyful conversation, you know, like talk to Joel, go out, shoot some stuff, talk to the dancers, shoot some more stuff. You know, there are certain things that you'll see in the film that were obviously carefully planned, but a lot of it was just trying to somehow create an experience of what we were all going through, which was this weird transcendent freak what the fuck it meant to be in Melbourne at that moment.
Yeah.
But we're talking too much about the film without seeing it, so I'm sure it's...
Andy Miller is like, the build-up's getting me excited. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Still the quivering air. Here we go.
轻轻听着。
Oh, incredible, amazing.
Thank you, Margot.
Bloody hell. That was bloody good. That was bloody amazing, mate. You have so many fans. All right. We've got a question here. Hey, Race. We've got a question here from Hannah, who did the costume and makeup design. And I guess what was that process like for getting the aesthetic all together?
Well, this is at this point we really need to make give a big shout out to El Shamada, who is the multi-talented El Shamada, who played violin in the last piece, but also came on board and really took control of the makeup and the look of the piece, and really kind of like played with the idea of yokai, the idea of transformation, and yeah, I mean, hats off to Elle.
Yeah, my God, it's haunting and just like, it's just so satisfying and just gets into your skin. Like every frame is so considered. I'm obsessed. We're all obsessed. Any other questions? Well, could we talk just quickly about the structure and structure it all and lay it out? What was the thought process behind that?
Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
I feel like my internet sucks. Does it really suck? I'm in a bit of an internet hole.
Oh no.
You are kind of like you're like in a witness protection program for me.
No,
So
that's the way it should be. We had an initial structure for the three main chapters, which were three major works that we started off, and each of those we kind of had a contained idea, and in them, you know, as Joel mentioned before, like the idea of Tony being kind of a bit of a like who somehow there's something in him that allows the other yokai to kind of take form as well. So we kind of used him certainly in a kind of role that allowed Yumi to then take form, and then I guess it's sort of slowly we started talking about different themes across each individual piece, so that each of those three main chapters had its own themes, and ending with the kind of the lightness Naruto interiors at the end, but also like this kind of a very strong sort of sensual presence towards the final bit, post the kind of menace in the beginning, and then we started working out ways to, and that was sort of a lot of the stuff with Tony on his own, the kind of his body as a bit of a landscape and presence again, a force that binds things. And some of it was intuitive and some of it was very planned. But certainly we had to allow space for the dancers, what they do each day of shooting, for that to guide us in terms of how we filmed it, and to not be not too fixed in our form.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, I was just like, I was really keen to know what the thought process behind putting that entire short together, because yeah, you really feel like in the set, you just go through these emotions and you kind of just get awakened, and just great effect of that. Thank you. I'm loving these comments as people's streams kind of reach the end of it and they sit for a moment. So amazing. Beautiful and amazing. Love these words. Exquisite. Holy crap, that was dark. I love that one.
Yes.
It is quite dark, and yeah, genuinely haunting. And I believe in ghosts. I believe they're just always around us, whether we see them or sense them. And I think that definitely
on a I guess on a compositional level as well. I think that the start was the idea for me was musically for it to kind of end in a place of resolve to a degree, and without having to. The meaning that I find in there is also like coming from a place of, I guess, it ending in a quite a sort of soft space, which is how I feel and have also felt throughout the lockdown with Lua, my daughter. Is just, it needs to find a place of resolve and be kind of beautiful. So I really wanted that journey, and it is dark. And I think the last 6 months have been dark. There's it's been a sort of an amazing experience that none of us will ever forget in terms of, unusual. If someone had said a year ago, yeah, you're not going to be allowed to leave your house, like it's illegal for you to go outside and except for your prescribed hour of exercise, I think no one would have believed you. But we lived through that. So to me, that darkness had to kind of find a way into the piece and then find a resolve at the end as well.
Thank you. Awesome. We've got a question here from Andy. Can you see film and projection weaving back into live location-based performance after this collaboration?
Sure. Yeah. Reese?
Yeah, I mean, we've already spoken about it as the project was evolving. We were talking about what we could shoot and how we could shoot to then alternate forms of it. And I think there's a really beautiful way of work you get, because for me, because Joel sort of trusts what we go out and shoot stuff, but it also as getting things back, it's allowed to kind of trigger and go, some of this stuff I can imagine then bringing into a live performance that we can do, bring in the dancers, I think it's kind of a bit of a shifting sands of how to kind of create this, whether it's the Joelistics film school or still the Quivering. There's that dark beauty. I think we've created these fragments that then Joel can use.
Can you see?
It's baby.
Can you see my daughter? Someone's holding my daughter up above.
Oh, my goodness. That is gorgeous. I love the hat. Gosh, I can't believe she was born during quarantine. Lua. Oh my God. Hello. Just floating up there. I love that.
Lua should have starred, but she was busy.
She totally did for me, man. She did. Yeah. She was all through that.
That's what. Whenever we go really down, we'll be like, but I'm like surrounded by love. Like, let's.
Yeah.
Love. We're like, yeah. Well, the things we shot were.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you. And you're right about the darkness, that it does shy away from that. And I think thank you for this really honest portrayal of darkness. And darkness can't exist without light.
There's lots of beauty. Well, we did want to create the beauty of that. And yeah, there's definitely something done in the experience, but within that, so like the beauty of all these performance, the expression, and the kind of that solitary presence is so gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight for the premiere of Still the Quivering Air. It will be up on the MAV website in full HD afterwards, so you can experience it, turn it up, blast it, feel the vibes, dance, get on it, feel that like pulsing through your entire body, man. Yes. Yeah. Thank you to Dave and Janet as well for joining us, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thanks for everyone.
Bye to Lua, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye everyone. See you guys.